Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you my standard review of the little Fuji X-T200 APS-C mirrorless camera. Now today we're going to be giving you the standard look at this, and so I'm just going to give you the highlights and give you my conclusion. If you want more information, all the nitty-gritty breakdown of various aspects of the performance, I recommend that you take a look at the definitive review. It will give you more information and maybe help you to have a more informed buying decision. Today, however, we're going to just kind of look at the highlights here. And so overall what we have is a very lightweight, small, compact camera that I think for many people helps to satisfy what they're looking for when it comes to mirrorless. And I think that in some ways, while Fuji certainly packs a lot of technology into their higher end X-T3 or X-T4 camera bodies, in some ways I think that this is the more compelling narrative for Fuji, because you can have a small lightweight camera, but then also you have a number of good quality small and lightweight prime lens options to pair with it. And that kind of gives us an advantage with Fuji that isn't necessarily shared with either Canon or Sony on the APS-C space. And so I think a strong point for them. We've got a camera body that with both the card and the battery intact only weighs in at about 330 grams, and so very lightweight for travel. And while it's pretty small in the hand, if you have larger hands like myself, it does have a decent grip here that you can get a little bit of a hold on. And so overall, I think that it's certainly a usable camera in that. Kind of the headline feature here is the fact that it has a very large, relative to the size of the camera, 3.5-inch LCD screen that is touchscreen. It also is very high resolution, 2.76 million dots of resolution. And that, of course, is pretty unique for this price point to have such a large and high resolution screen, and it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you're going to record images. And so certainly a high point here. We do have physical controls. I don't actually enjoy the physical controls here as much as what I typically do on Fuji bodies. I'm actually quite a fan of the various physical controls that you have in their bodies. And in here, it's just, it's a little bit more typically what you would find for this class. And so it's just not quite as satisfying for me. I'm going to highlight just one kind of major criticism when it comes to ergonomics here, and that is that they don't have a dedicated Q button here. And so what you do have is you have essentially just two blank buttons on the back, and even the idea of blank buttons I think is weird. I mean, Sony has buttons that can be customized, and it calls them C1 and C2, so at least you have some kind of visual thing to latch onto. There's literally no difference between these two buttons, and so I did assign the quick menu Q button to one of those, and so it helps it to operate a little bit more like normal. But I think it's kind of strange to not have a dedicated Q button here. And so, but at the same time, other physical controls are good. I like the inclusion of the little joystick down here, and that helps to navigate certain things where touch maybe isn't quite as effective. Now, our autofocus system here is kind of a downsampling of what we see in the higher-end cameras. We still have 425 selectable AF points, and it's a hybrid system of phase detect supported by contrast AF. And so an effective autofocus system, but not as effective. For example, we only have a -2 rather than a -3 exposure value sensitivity. And so what that tells you is that this camera is not going to be as good in low light conditions as some of the other Fuji options. And while you do have a fairly good burst rate of 8 frames per second, you're limited in that by, as pretty typically with Fuji, fairly shallow buffer depth. And so you can only get about 17, in my test, I got about 17 raw files before the buffer filled, or only 24 JPEGs. And so what that tells me is that 8 frames per second. In raw, you only have a couple of seconds to make sure you nail the action before the buffer fills, or even with JPEGs, only about 3 seconds. And so you have to time things well when it comes to tracking action. But at the same time, it's a fairly robust autofocus system and seems to get the job done fairly effectively. You do have, kind of the typical limiting principles of, rather than 1/8,000th of a second shutter speed, you're capped off at 1/4,000th. However, Fuji actually gives you a workaround here in that you have the ability to switch over to an electronic shutter that actually gives you a limit of 1/32,000th of a second shutter speed. And so much less limiting than what I've seen in some other applications. Now on the video front, there's some good and some bad. Good being the fact that you do have full 4K 30 support here, and so an actual usable 4K, and the 4K footage looks pretty decent. 1080 footage, I'm not nearly as convinced by. It seems to lack a lot of detail, and I'm just not particularly impressed by it. You don't have any kind of in-body image stabilization, but they do have a feature they call digital gimbal. And what that does is essentially it takes a fairly deep crop factor out of the 1080 footage, and it uses that to do some electronic stabilization. So it does help, for example, if you're doing things like walking, but it's not really very natural in the sense that sometimes when it kind of allows adjustments to be made, for example, on a bit of a pan, it's quite abrupt. And so it just doesn't have a natural feel to it. So your mileage may vary as to how useful that is. I always say that if you actually want gimbal-like footage, buy a gimbal because you're going to be much happier with the end result from that. Now, our sensor here is somewhat unique, at least to myself, because every other Fuji camera that I've used has utilized the 26 megapixel X-Trans sensor that is fairly unique to Fuji. In this case, you have a more typical 24 megapixel Bayer type sensor. And Bayer type sensor is something more like what you'll find on a Sony or a Canon body. So maybe it's not as unique a sensor as what we find in some other Fuji cameras, but I actually found it to be an effective one in my test. Dynamic range is okay, not quite as good as what you see on Sony, for example. However, if you utilize the Fuji hack known as DR200 or DR400, you can access that at either ISO 400 or ISO 800 here because the base ISO is 200. What it does is it actually samples the highlights from the lower base ISO while getting the shadow information from the set ISO, and it gives you a much greater recovery of highlights. And so byproduct is if you utilize that, which I certainly recommend doing it, you actually end up with better dynamic range than what you see on competing cameras. So certainly very useful there. Now you do have a more restricted ISO range of only a base ISO of 200 to a upward limit of 12,800. And so while it is restrictive, it is very useful across that entire ISO range. And I find that ISO 12,800 is entirely useful by my estimation. There is some fine grain noise that you can see, but it's not all that destructive to the image. And so overall, I think that the image quality looks quite good. A lot of people like Fuji because of its classic film emulations, certain looks, and you can really dial in your JPEGs in particular to give them a look that you like. And so a lot of people like the fact that with these Fuji cameras, you can get great looking colors in JPEGs out of camera. Now, if you're a RAW shooter like myself, it's less of an advantage because you basically have the capacity to make all of those tweaks in post anyway. But if you are someone who prefers to shoot JPEGs, you don't want to spend a lot of time post-processing, there's a lot of people that are very favorable towards the different color looks and film emulations that you can get in camera with Fuji camera. And certainly, as you can see from these photos, there is a lot of very nice color that is on tap there. And so at the end of the day, this camera came to market priced initially at $799 US. Now that did include this cheap, and I'm not a big fan, 14 to 45 millimeter little compact power zoom lens. It's not a great lens, but of course if you have no lenses, it's better than nothing. But I think that that was a little bit of a high price point. You could get the body-only XT30 at $899 US, and I don't think that that was enough market separation. Apparently Fuji agreed. We seem to have a somewhat permanent $300 price reduction. And so while I think it was overpriced at $799 with the lens, at $499 with the lens, I think that this is a very compelling value. And a lot of people are going to find this a very rewarding camera at such a low price point. And so again, at the end of the day, I think that this makes the Fuji very, very competitive, the XT200, because what you've got is the ability to pair it with a number of Fuji's great compact prime lenses, which of course optically are far superior to this. And so, either the f2.8 or f2 options, and there are some newer versions coming, the XC options that are smaller and lighter still, but have some of the good optical performance. So like for example, the 35mm f2 is a great option to pair with this camera. And so I think that if you go that route, it becomes quite compelling as a way of not really compromising much on image quality, but being able to travel really small and light. And I think that that really is a strength. And I think maybe one of the main selling features, along with a great articulating LCD screen on the XT200. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you look in the description down below, you can find linkage to my full text review. Also linkage there to an image gallery if you want to check out photos. And beyond that, there's also linkage there to purchase one for yourself. Linkage to follow me on social media, to become a patron, or to sign up for my newsletter. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.